The control room fell silent. The Admiral's voice cracked over the radio. "They're gone. We've lost them." Families prepared for the worst, and the nation mourned in silence. But just as hope faded, a lone jet cut through the clouds, its call sign unmistakable. Against all odds, she had returned. The room was heavy with static and fear. Dozens of officers leaned over glowing radar screens, their faces washed pale by the cold green light. Every blip told a story: an aircraft on course, a squadron moving in formation, a life carried by metal wings. Then one blip vanished. At first, the technicians thought it was interference. A glitch. They adjusted knobs, tapped screens, exchanged nervous glances. But seconds stretched into minutes, and the silence from the pilot's comm channel grew louder than any explosion. The Admiral stood rigid at the center of the operations floor. He had seen loss before, but never this sudden, never this final. His jaw tightened as he pressed the headset closer. "Eagle 2, report." No response. "Eagle 2, this is command." "Respond immediately." Nothing. Around him, murmurs rose. Technicians whispering theories. Younger officers clutching pens so hard their knuckles whitened. The Admiral raised a hand to silence them. His voice, steady but low, carried the weight of authority. "They're gone." The words were a verdict, final and heavy. Families watching the mission feed from afar slumped into grief. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers bowed their heads. To lose one pilot was tragedy, but to lose her, the one known for impossible maneuvers, the one others trusted to pull them out of fire, was devastation. Minutes dragged like hours. Every second without her voice was another nail sealing the coffin of hope. Officers shifted uncomfortably, each secretly asking the same question. What could have taken her down? On the battlefield, enemies were advancing, confident that the skies were theirs. To them, her silence meant weakness. The Admiral knew the cost of this moment. A single aircraft missing could change the entire course of the operation. And yet, even as he stood there, his heart wavered. He knew this pilot. She had defied death before. She was the kind of soldier who flew not with arrogance, but with a defiant promise to never surrender the sky. Still, procedure was procedure. After 15 minutes of silence, the Admiral's voice cut through the room again. "Mark her lost in action." The declaration struck like a hammer. Officers bowed their heads, some in anger, others in quiet mourning. The war map shifted, strategies recalculated. On paper, her story had ended. But in the distant clouds, where radio waves faltered and radar failed, her jet was not yet finished. The cockpit was a cage of alarms. Red lights flashed across the control panel, each one screaming for attention. Oxygen levels dipping. Fuel bleeding faster than it should. The jet had taken hits, but it wasn't enemy fire that worried her most. It was the silence. Her comms were dead. No voice from command, no chatter from her wingmates. Just static. The isolation pressed on her like a second gravity. She gripped the stick tighter, her knuckles aching inside the gloves. The storm ahead was merciless. Rolling black clouds sparking with violent bursts of lightning. Visibility, almost zero. But retreat wasn't an option. Not for her. "Stay focused," she muttered under her breath, voice swallowed by the roar of the engines. Each flash of lightning revealed fragments of the world. Jagged mountain ridges below, enemy radar sweeping the skies above. She was threading a needle with a machine built to break. And yet, this was where she thrived, on the edge of collapse. The jet lurched violently, a sudden downdraft shoving her toward the mountains. Warning sirens wailed, but she fought the controls, forcing the aircraft to respond. Sweat stung her eyes as she pulled the nose up, teeth clenched, every muscle straining against gravity's pull. For a moment, the world tilted sideways, mountains spinning like knives. But with one last desperate yank, the wings leveled, and the jet skimmed past stone peaks by mere meters. Her breath came in ragged bursts. Fear tried to crawl in, but she smothered it. She had always believed that fear was a tool. It sharpened her, reminded her that every move mattered. In the distance, another burst of lightning lit the sky, and for a split second, she caught sight of her reflection in the canopy glass. Eyes sharp, jaw set, unyielding. This was not where her story ended. The storm, however, had other plans. Rain pelted against the jet like bullets, sensors went blind, and the compass spun aimlessly. For anyone else, this was death. For her, it was another test. She cut power to secondary systems, rerouted what little fuel she had left, and forced the jet into a climb, straight into the storm's heart. The cockpit shook violently, rattling bolts and shaking the frame as if the sky itself wanted to rip her apart. But through the chaos, a thought anchored her. If they've already declared me lost, then I have nothing to lose but everything to fight for. She wasn't just flying to survive. She was flying to return. And as the storm swallowed her whole, somewhere far below, an admiral stared at a map that said she no longer existed. The storm broke suddenly, like a curtain ripped from the sky. One moment, she was inside chaos. Lightning flashing, alarms shrieking, metal groaning under stress. The next, she burst into open air, her jet clawing its way above the clouds. The silence was staggering. No rain hammering the canopy, no thunder shaking the frame, just the steady hum of engines that refused to die. The horizon glowed with the pale fire of dawn. Her hands trembled on the controls, not from fear but from the raw force of survival. Against everything, she had cleared the storm. But survival was only half the battle. She needed to be seen. She toggled the comms again. Static. The radio was gone. She cursed under her breath and scanned her instruments. The transponder flickered, weak, but alive. If she flew high enough, maybe, just maybe, her signal would pierce the void. Below, in the command center, the Admiral sat hunched over the table. His declaration of loss had already been logged. The atmosphere in the room was heavy, officers moving like shadows, morale slipping through their hands. Then a faint beep. A radar technician frowned, leaning closer to the screen. A blip had appeared at the edge of their range. Pulsed weakly, like a heartbeat after flatline. "Sir, we've got something." The Admiral snapped his gaze to the screen. Hope was dangerous, he knew, it lifted only to crush. Still, he leaned in. "Confirm it." The blip grew stronger. The silhouette became clear. An aircraft, alone, climbing higher, breaking through the storm's shadow. The call sign blinked into existence. Eagle 2. The room erupted. Officers gasped. Some shouted. Others clapped their hands against desks in disbelief. Against protocol, against probability, against death itself, she was back. The Admiral's throat tightened. For a long second, he said nothing, letting the moment sink in. Then, with a voice that shook not from weakness but from relief, he declared, "Open the channel. She's alive." Her jet streaked across the sky, wings catching the first light of morning. Below, her squadron spotted her silhouette and surged with renewed courage. To them, it was more than just a pilot returning. It was proof that resilience could tear through silence, that no storm, no enemy, no declaration of loss was final. She tightened her grip on the stick, eyes narrowing toward the battlefield ahead. Her return was not just survival, it was a message. The sky was hers again.